It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
You know, if there's ever been an example of elitism and how elites in this state do not care about the little guy, you need to go and watch the committee meeting between Jim Hendren and the small business owners who are in the vaping industry, and watch his reaction as he has to sit there as business owner after business owner comes to the table and talks about how his legislation to tax vaping, raise taxes on cigarettes, and put in the Democrat policy goal of an earned income tax credit welfare program would hurt their business when you the entire package, the bill. And it's just fascinating to me how, I guess, Republicans are for business, but you have to be the right kind of business. Yesterday, when I was at the Marble Palace, I met a vape shop business owner. Her name is Scout Stubbs. Scout joins us on the phone right now. Scout, how are you this morning?
Hey, I'm doing well.
Scout, I know that you're disappointed in the outcome. It only got 18 votes, but it does pass, goes on to the House, where I think it will have more trouble. Have you been to the Capitol very much? I mean, was this one of your first times there?
No, we were there last session doing similar things. At that point, we didn't have our nonprofit started, and so it was a lot more difficult communicating with some of these Democrat legislators that our products are harm reduction, our products are 95% safer than cigarettes, because if you go in there, the business owner saying that out there saying, oh, you're just trying to peddle your product. But going in there this time, we have our association. There's close to 300 shops in the state of Arkansas, and so we're trying to go up there and represent all of their interests, and they're all small business.
And they know, obviously, that this bill is going to, devastate their businesses. I mean, that was your testimony. At one point, I was sitting next to you in the gallery, and at one point, I think Senator Hendren said something, and there were several people in the gallery that just turned around and went, well, that's socialism. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I know that this bill is dressed up as appealing to lower-income families, but it's redistribution of wealth. And I'm no expert in tax policy. All I'm an expert in is the vaping industry. And I know what it will do to our business. But, yeah, socialism at its finest is going to destroy small businesses in the state of Arkansas.
What will this do to your business? Now, first of all, tell us the name of your vaping business.
So my husband and I started Drippers Vape Shop in Greenbrier, Arkansas, with a maxed out credit card and an American dream. We started with one shop, and now we own a chain of 5 across the state. And our entire goal was to help people quit smoking. It's how I quit smoking. It's how my husband quit smoking, and it's how about 10,000 of our customers have quit smoking. And that's just in one shop. I know the story is the same with shop owners across the state, and a lot of people don't know what vaping is, but it's a consumer-driven industry, not pharmaceutical, not tobacco industry-driven industry, made by smokers for smokers who want to quit smoking.
And I see Drippers Vape Shop. You have a location in Greenbrier, Cabot, Heber Springs, Hot Springs. Pretty successful.
Yeah, and El Dorado. Yep.
And El Dorado. And so, so there's talk about firing employees if something like this happens, or closing altogether. I mean, you think vape shops will close? What would you guys have to do?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this isn't a 5%, 10%, 20% tax. This is a 67% tax, whereas before we were only paying sales and use tax. Now, I'm not naive. I know how Arkansas politics works. I know that maybe we're going to have to pay a small percentage of what they call a luxury tax on someone that wants to quit smoking. But a 67% tax is something that's going to close a lot of the shops in Arkansas. Now, we tried to clarify with Jim Hendren, the sponsor of the bill, whether that 67% tax applies to existing inventory, more like a floor tax. And he said over and over again, oh, that's not what that means in the bill. But it's written there, black and white, that it applies to existing floor tax. And if that's the case, I know a shop in Conway that's going to owe $25,000 in 2 months after this bill passes. Another friend of mine who owns 8 stores is going to owe $268,000. That's enough to close the door on any shop. Now, let's say that Jim Hendren is right. He's a man of his word, and there is no floor tax. That means that I'm going to have to compete with online sale prices. I'm also going to have to raise my prices to my customers. And so they're either going to go online, or in border towns, they're going to go to the next state over where there's not a 67% tax on vapor products.
67% tax.
67%.
And here's the thing, he's talking about how this earned income tax credit is going to be revenue neutral. Well, if you guys all shut your doors or and have less business, then that's not the case.
Yeah, he's going to be in big trouble when the money that he was supposed to get from vape shops is no longer there, because 2/3 of us, 3/4 of us have all closed in the state.
Wow. And I was talking to you about this. I think this is also really just kind of cloak and dagger legislative sleight of hand, too, because the bottom line is they know more and more people are going to vaping to quit smoking, and they're going to see this loss in revenue. And so they're actually coming after you guys, to maintain, like they're using kids. They're saying kids are doing it, it's terrible and everything else. But the government actually needs the revenue source from people smoking. And so now that people are starting to vape, they're like, we better go after the vapors.
That's exactly what's happening, and it's sad. It's a sad thing for public health. If that's the cause that everyone's toting around, is that it's for public health and to encourage people to quit smoking, well, you're increasing the tax on cigarettes by 20%. A separate bill has increased the minimum price of cigarettes by, I think, 1%. But all of that is to generate revenue for the state. And so, yes, they realize that they're losing some of that cigarette money, and they're going to try to get vapor money at the exact same rate that they get deadly combustible cigarette taxes at.
In his presentation yesterday, Senator Hendren talked about the former Philip Morris company and Juul and the tobacco, big tobacco. Talk about how what you guys do is different than what Juul is doing, and what you guys are doing are getting lumped in, and your reputation is being tarnished with the nicotine delivery system Juul.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because most people don't know the difference. Juul is partially owned by Altria, which owns Marlboro. So technically they are a big tobacco company. They started out in Silicon Valley as just their own thing, harm reduction, just like we are, but they've grown into such a popular device. I have to give credit where credit's due, that they're capturing that smoker at that gas station that's making an impulse buy, and they're saying, you know what, I'm not going to buy cigarettes today. I'm going to buy this Juul instead. And so they get started on vaping in gas stations, but I think they eventually get to the vape shops where they realize they can step down their nicotine and have a better choice of flavors, devices. It's more of a one-on-one interaction at vape shops. Juul pods are sold now at 50 milligrams per milliliter of nicotine. That's a lot. That's more than any vape shop is going to sell you. I start out people at the highest 18 milligrams per milliliter, and then after a few months you can step that down to 12, 6, 3, and then eventually 0, and I stopped seeing that customer. And that's a good thing. That's because they've quit vaping, they've quit smoking altogether. Now, I think that Juul's business model differs from ours. I think that it's just another big tobacco ploy to keep people addicted to nicotine. And that's sad too. And I don't want to get confused with Juul, because we're not the same. We're not distributed through the same channels. We don't work the same as big tobacco conglomerates. We're small business owners, and a lot of us make our own e-liquid in the shop. And if we don't, we're ordering it from the United States, from other states surrounding. And it's just a completely different business model. We're not out trying to hook kids on nicotine. If anything, vape shops are doing the best job at IDing minors and making sure that these products stay out of our schools.
And it's the Juul that's really getting into schools, because it's small.
Yeah.
It's smaller than the device that you guys typically sell, which is much harder to hide. And my whole thing is right now, well, until Arkansas just got involved. I mean, Arkansas is now raising the age to buy tobacco from 18 to 21, and they said because of the kids smoking in high school. I said, well, there's not very many 18-year-olds that are in high school. And so if 16, 17-year-olds are still smoking and they're already breaking the law, how does raising the age, they're still going to get the cigarettes, they're still going to get the nicotine, they're still going to get the Juul. And so it's just really it's just this big government. And you mentioned something. We're talking with Scout Stubbs. She's the owner of Drippers Vape Shop. You can look that up online, Drippers Vape Shop. There's locations across Arkansas. You brought up the idea that Juul is, with their economic model, they're actually keeping people addicted to nicotine, and that's why you have the cigarette company buying such a big share in it, whereas you guys are the good guys providing a service, helping people stop their addiction to nicotine, and yet the government's coming after you, Scout.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic when you put it like that. But that's exactly what's going on. The FDA Commissioner Gottlieb, who's actually on his way out, recognized that vape shops are doing the best job. Their data shows that we card the best. We're doing the best at denying the sale to minors. The Juul product is the one that is failing compliance checks at gas stations, convenience stores, stuff like that. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I think that vapor products are a miracle technology of the 21st century. But I don't like being lumped in altogether with a product that's being found in schools, found in lockers, and being hidden on campuses, because I don't agree with that, and I think that our stores are different.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Senator Trent Garner did an excellent job trying to get the Senate to recognize that, how you guys are very stringent in how you card people. The bill did pass. Again, this was a 67% tax increase on you guys?
Yes.
67% tax on vape, $1.20 increase on your cigarettes per pack, and then the earned income tax credit, which is a very, very liberal progressive policy at this point. That's what's used. And so now, Scout, it goes on to the House Committee. We hope the House Committee on Revenue and Taxation. Now,
yes, I have confirmed that it is the Revenue and Tax Committee.
Okay. So what do you think? I mean, I have kind of heard that they don't have the vote. They don't have 11 votes. They don't have enough votes to get it out. What have you heard?
Similar. I'm hoping that we can educate enough lawmakers on that committee to say, hey, we're not the same as cigarettes. Like a lot of legislators are going with their heart. They're voting with their heart, and they're saying, hey, I hate cigarettes. My mom died of lung cancer. We hate cigarettes. But they don't understand that our product is different. They don't understand that we're not the ones trying to addict kids to nicotine and keep them smokers forever. That's the opposite of our goal. And so I think if enough lawmakers understood that we could defeat this bill in committee easily.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I hope that it does, and we're going to be monitoring it. And Scout, it was great to meet you yesterday, and best of luck to you in your business. And I did mention to you, I'll give you the last word, but I did mention to you, if more people understood your business, you guys are just kind of at an information deficit with these lawmakers, kind of like what you were saying. And so that's why it's easy to tax you and attack this specific small group of business owners, because a lot of people don't understand your business.
That's exactly right.
All right, Scout Stubbs, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll see you later.
Yes, Drippers Vape Shop is the name of the company. You can check them out if you want to stop smoking. You want to start that process? Their locations in Greenbrier, Cabot, Heber Springs, Hot Springs, and El Dorado. Sounds like Drippers would be a good place to start if you're wanting to stop smoking a combustible tobacco, cigarette, or cigar or something.